So you want to join the Navy but never go on a ship? These rates might be the best jobs that you can choose for the military. Stay tuned to find out. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to Nikki MGTV for another military video for all your military video needs. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below if you have questions. But as always, let's roll right into the topic, and that is about the Navy Seabees. And I've been asked about this very frequently as I've made videos on this channel, and I feel bad because I haven't been able to provide a full quality content. So I want to preface this entire video. I've asked Seabees to be on. They flaked out. This includes Josh and everyone else that was in NMCB1 that I asked that didn't want to make a video with me, or they flaked on me on it. So I'm taking everything I've asked you guys about or talked about, and I'm kind of making a video, so this is very secondhand, but I feel like if I can add some more information to somebody else out there that's maybe looking to be a CB, maybe some of this will fall on good ears. But if I do get something incorrect and you are a CB, make sure you put it down below. So my interactions with Seabees. If you guys don't remember that video where I was on a stranded island known as Tinian, I was with a bunch of Seabees that were over there. They did a ton of humanitarian work I'd helped them out with. There was a typhoon that came through, and we went through and cleaned up trees and everything else, and Seabees were a huge part of that, and I believe they were there for a good amount of time. I don't know the full time frame, but they did a lot of good humanitarian work over there, and so that's my experience with them. Also, I will say that I've seen them on base doing tons of different projects and things like that. So you'll see them around. It's just you're not going to see them maybe in a traditional sense in the military. Tell you some things that they did for me that I appreciated. They got me water. They made sure we had stuff to cook with food-wise because they're CSs. They also made sure we had AC. Yeah, that was the issue. And then also that we had showers, and they gave me rides to and from the stores because they had their heavy equipment that we would ride in. If you see my intro in this video, that's what I'm riding in. I made sure I befriended them, and one of them actually called me out because she said, "You only like us because we give you a ride into town." And I said, "That's not true, but partially is true because it was cool hanging out with other Navy people when we had Marines there that we were part of to kind of feel the same unity as being a part of the same branch, because once you're with the Marine Corps for so long, you kind of want to feel like you're connected to the Navy again at some times, and that was very nice. What's interesting is what they call regular Navy people. So I didn't know this was even a term until I went with the Seabees, and they call you a fleeter. So if you're a regular Navy person that's been on a ship, I didn't even know there was this disconnection between Seabees and the other part of the military until I was stationed with them for this little bit of time. I do want to say that Seabees are some of the hardest workers, and I know a lot of people relate this to just being a construction worker because of the types of jobs I do, but I do want to say that honestly I have way more respect for Seabees now after seeing the work that they do, because I didn't realize how much went into it, and seeing them work on a daily basis, they work pretty hard, and I just want to make people understand you're not getting into being a CB because it's an easier life in the military. If you want an easier life, consider more of a desk job. So there are 7 jobs within the CB community. I don't want to miss any of them because I would feel bad if I did. So I'm going to look at my phone here. It is 7 ratings, which are BU for builder, construction electrician, CE, construction mechanic, CM, engineering aide, EA, equipment operator, EO, steel worker, SW, and utilities man, UT. The only one I've not worked with on this were the engineering aides. The rest I have worked with. But I want to say that my experience with all these different rates, they were not doing their traditional job, and I think that's one of the cool things about being a CB. This is because the chief that we were with knew a little bit about electricity, but he was actually a BU. And there were people that were SWs, but we had no welding to be done, so they were doing BU work. By the way, they make fun of BUs because they say anyone can hold a hammer and they're the lowest ASVAB. But I don't want people to think if you got BU that you're the dumbest person, but I'm just letting you know the insights of the community. But yeah, they're hard workers, and the fact that you're going to do more than just your job, definitely from what I've seen from my experience with the community. But I also kind of like that because that means you're doing more than just your basic run-of-the-mill job, and you kind of break out and experience other things. I will say that my experience with CBs, I feel like I was able to blend in with them more or understand where they came from because they were pretty much like Marines, but they wore Navy uniforms, or they had that same rough and tough mentality as Marines do. I mentioned the squadron that I'm currently working with, a lot of them have the same exact jobs just a different branch. This is why I let you guys know that each branch has an opportunity similar to the other branch as far as jobs and certain aspects or others, but it was just very interesting to see the direct correlation of they had people that set up electricity and showers, and those are the same Marines I deal with that set up electric and showers and all that kind of stuff. So yes, just realize when you're joining a branch, you can get the same job in different branches. It's just really about the experience that you're wanting. So as far as duty stations, all the Seabees that I had worked with were stationed out of Mississippi, and they absolutely hated it, most of them. Some of them actually enjoyed it, but I would say the younger people didn't like it. I would kind of pick the brains of people to find out where they could be stationed or how that worked. They did say that there are some jobs that can be on ship, but they're a very, very, very limited amount, and it's not a very common thing, so don't expect that. But most of them did say, imagine if you're going to join a CB rate or job, just imagine you're probably going to be in Port Hueneme in California or Gulfport, Mississippi, and from there you'll deploy out to cool places like Rota, Spain, Guam, and then they'll send you out from there as well for different taskers of what they need you for deployments. But I thought that was really cool. For example, with my experience, the Seabees I worked with were deployed out in Guam, and then they came out with me to an exercise to help out in Tinian, and then that's what we did. And I also was told about the other types of duty stations, which I was familiar with. In Rota, we had a thing called Public Works. So it's kind of like everything that just kind of makes the base run. Or I can't even explain like what it would be. It's like a public service type thing. Water treatment, things like that. One of the guys that I talked with a lot was a UT1 utilitiesman. Mike, awesome dude. Talked about all the jobs he did in Naples, Italy, I believe it was, where he was the person in charge of doing all of the water treatment stuff. And he was kind of giving me the lowdown of you can get these cool smaller billets and bases other spots. But yeah, just understand that there are less there, but understand that the big ones are Port Hueneme and Gulfport, Mississippi. Now I want to talk about qualifications because I kept asking them. I said, how much can you qualify for this stuff? And the basic answer I got from most of the rates I talked to was they said you can get your journeyman's, which is just like your entry level of electrical work or whatever specialty that you're in within the field of CB that you're currently rated as. But none of them really talked much about it or were too interested in it. The people that I talked to were too interested in doing this. Don't know why, but if you're a CB, let me know down below. If you've gotten the journeyman's or certification, or if there's something else that you're progressing towards beyond that, maybe that someone's interested in being a CB can look forward to as well. Last thing I want to talk about is the slogan for CBs, and that is, we build, we fight. CBs have been known to be people that are setting up infrastructure, but also being able to fight in that aspect, and that's a very non-traditional Navy thing, because I know a lot of you guys keep thinking about the Navy, the ships and all that, but there's many different sides, and that's why I love being in the Navy, because there's a lot more sailors that are on a ground aspect than being on a ship. And I know that's just what everyone thinks because it's a naval service, and that makes sense, and I don't knock you for that, but it's cool because they have such a tradition. And I feel like as we move on, CBs are trying to fight to keep that alive, because I feel like we're still trying to figure out what their role is in military aspect. And I hope that we keep this community alive, because I feel like they have a true purpose, even though it hasn't been truly tested in years upon years. But I do think that the people that are in the community are awesome. They put out great work. There's some really good friends, and I really appreciate the people I did work with. And so if you are one of the CVs I work with, you guys were awesome. I appreciated all the hospitality. Even though we may not have hung out as much as we could have, I just want to say I appreciated everything. But anyway, guys, if you're interested in CVs or you have questions about CVs, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, if you have other questions, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.